Hello everyone and welcome to Your Basic Nerd. This is a new channel where I plan on documenting my very imperfect attempts at completing model kits and other sorts of nerdy activities. And as you can tell today, I'm working on Simon's Coffee. I've already started. This is a kit that I got for Christmas from my partner. It's from Robotime. I've put the picture here and I've been enjoying it so far. And today I'm making 27 books. So you can tell it's the step book one, but that has to be remade 27 times. And the first steps towards that is popping out all the little wood pieces on which the book covers will be glued. And while you watch me do this, maybe a couple words about why I decided to start this channel in the first place. Basically, I've always had an interest for activities that I guess other people would call nerdy, like model kits and jigsaw puzzles, stuff like that. But I'm also not particularly skilled at them. I'm just a regular person with a full-time job and a social life, and I enjoy the kits, but I'm not a pro and I don't go out to improve them. And you don't tend to see that a lot on YouTube, I feel like. So I thought it'd be fun to document my progress as a regular person who's just enjoying model kits. And here you can see that I finished popping out the 27 little wood pieces. There are actually 28 on the wood sheet, so I'm not sure if the last one is going to be used for something else. And I also chose to sand them. I'm not sure it was necessary, but with previous pieces, I've had issues with little wood chips that were sticking out from the pieces, so I did it just in case. As you could tell at the start of this video, I've actually already started a kit a couple weeks ago over Christmas break, and I've really been enjoying it. It's not the easiest pieces to make, but the instructions are very clear and detailed, so you always know what you're supposed to do. If you mess up, it's your own fault and not the instructions. And I also really like the variety of materials that I use to make up the pieces. So far, it's been a lot of grainy papers, but I think there's going to be plants as well, and there's lots of colors and different types of materials. So it's very enjoyable. And it's time consuming, but not overly difficult. Some pieces are a bit more challenging. So the result ends up looking sort of homemade for each individual piece. But I think that when I put everything together, the general look will be quite cool. And here you can see me cutting up the covers of the book. It's actually regular paper, and then you glue it onto the wood pieces. It's the principle that's used for most pieces in the kit. Which brings me to one of the biggest negatives about the kit, and that's the glue that's provided in it. It takes a lot of time to dry, and you'll see in a bit, it's a plastic container that you use to squirt glue onto the wood pieces, but it's really hard to control the quantity that comes out, so it's quite hard to manage. And when it dries, it gets stringy, basically like your elementary school type of glue that you can then peel off your fingers. But yeah, it's really not the greatest quality. I've seen online that some people buy better glue for the kit, but I don't have the time or motivation for that, so I've just been sticking to the regular glue that's included, and it's been working fine, but it's not the funnest to manage. And here I've finished pre-cutting the book covers, and as you can tell, the first one that I'm gonna make is Sleeping Beauty. And the book covers are actually all quite cute, and it's a lot of what I enjoy about model kits. It's hard to articulate while looking at tiny replicas of real life stuff is so fun, but it's really cool to discover the details, and I really enjoyed that part. So for every book, you're supposed to fold the little piece of paper that makes up the book cover and then glue it onto the piece of wood. For the first one, I was just trying to see how precise you needed to be with the fold for it to look good, and the answer was not very precise. So for the following ones, I was able to just glue the paper onto the wood directly. And here you can see the plastic bottle that I was talking about of glue. So you have to squirt out the glue onto the wood pieces, and as I said, it's sort of hard to control how much glue comes out every time. So you have to spread it with a toothpick, or sometimes I also use the top of the glue bottle itself. It's not the worst ever, but it's also not the most practical. You have to touch the glue a lot more than you would otherwise. So sometimes you end up with sticky fingers, or you put too much glue on your paper, and then it's not as pretty. As I said, I don't think the overall look of the kit is going to be very impacted by this issue, but it's a bit of a challenge sometimes. Otherwise, the most trouble that I've had is actually with pieces that include metal wires. They're hard to measure since they're never completely straight or flat because they're sort of metal, and they're hard to manipulate into the right shape to measure the length and then to put it into the piece. So a bit of trouble. And then really the worst of all is when there's a piece with both a metal wire that you're supposed to glue onto a tiny bead. Like the bar stools, maybe you saw in the introduction, but it was such a struggle to make them straight and perfect because you try to put the wire straight onto the bead, but then the glue takes a bit of time to dry, so it tends to crooked. So it was quite a challenge to make them look beautiful. They're not perfect, but hopefully no one will notice in the final kit. And here again, you can tell I'm trying to control the quantity of glue that comes out, but it doesn't work. You just have to deal with whatever comes out and have sticky fingers eventually. And here I'm coming to the end of the 27 books. I think it took me about 40 minutes to complete. It was actually pretty relaxing. The instructions were simple, so it was a nice way to spend part of a Sunday morning. And you can tell here that at the end my fingers are completely covered in dried glue. I'm sending little bits of glue everywhere. Bit gross, but part of the fun, I guess. And there's officially the last of the 27, also quite sticky. And here's the final product, the 27 books. I don't know if it shows up on camera, but the covers are actually really funny. The titles are very direct, so you have stuff like art, history, or universe, and my personal favorite, the history of World War. So pretty entertaining to make as well. And with this ends the first video on Your Basic Nerd. Thanks for watching. It's actually my first time filming and editing a video, and obviously English isn't my native language, so hopefully the quality will improve over time. But thanks for watching this one, and hopefully see you in the next one.